All right, how's it going, everyone? This is Brian, and welcome back to the Tech Stack Playbook, your guide to apps, software, and tech in a fun way, I promise. Super excited for this episode. We're doing a massive live right now with like 7 other people. I'm really excited. So we are covering AWS reInvent, which was probably the #1 place to be in tech for the past week. Everything from DevOps to cloud, virtual servers, AWS serverless, everything that runs in the cloud, that was a place to be. We're going to be breaking down all of the announcements, all the exciting features that were announced, a lot of the connections and the community that was built globally. So I'm really excited to be bringing on a bunch of amazing guests. So I'll bring them on, and we're just going to have sort of a very casual, vibey, fun chat just on the week, everything that's happening in the cloud, and just our experiences at reInvent. So I'm going to bring everybody on. All right. Ooh, okay, so we got a packed house. This is awesome. Thank you so much, everyone, for jumping on. Maybe we'd want to just go around. I was going to say around the room, around the live, and just sort of introduce people. Andrew, I see that you are vibing out with some AWS.
Oh, just 1 second.
So jealous.
Sorry, I was just listening to Zed. So like he was the DJ that was there, and he was like really, really good. So I don't know. It's just the party never ends, you know?
The party never ends.
Sorry.
That's awesome. So Andrew, do you want to just give? I'm just gonna go around the room. You're the one that's to my left. So do you want to? I'm just gonna have everyone introduce each other. So do you want to just introduce yourself really quick?
Oh yeah, sure. So I'm Andrew Brown. I'm the AWS community hero from Toronto, Canada, and I was at reInvent. It was my first reInvent, and I had a blast. And I also ran the virtual reInvent, or the community organized one. So happy to be here and just kind of share.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Andrew. Lou, you're also to my other left. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, for sure. So, hey guys, I'm Lou. I'm a product manager for Gitpod. And I've been sort of a software engineer for the past 10 years, and I'm also an AWS community builder. I don't know if I was the only one here though was not at reInvent this year. I guess we'll find out. But yeah, I've just been drinking from the fire hose on Twitter rather than drinking from the fire hose in person. So yeah, it's good. It'd be good to hear on the takes and digesting some of the stuff from this year.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Lou. Taruna, you're by left but down. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Taruna Mangar. I flew into Las Vegas to reInvent from New York. I was one of the grant recipients from the All Builders Welcome community. So I was fortunate enough to meet Brian and Sully while I was there. I'm also a computer science student right now. I'm only on my 3rd year. So reInvent kind of was one of those things that drove me forward and in helping me to realize that tech is definitely a community I want to be a part of.
Oh, that's awesome. And then, Sully, you are left of Taruna. Do you want to go next?
So I'm Sully. Great to meet all of you guys. I was actually one of the grant recipients too, so super excited to connect and build a awesome community. But I'm a full stack developer based in Boston, and I'm excited to connect with all of you guys. And yeah, that's me.
Awesome, Sully. Yeah, great to have you all. And then Matt, you are also to my left on the other side. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Elimination. Yeah. Hi, I'm Matt. I'm a director of software engineering at PowerSchool, AWS community builder. This is my 2nd in-person reInvent, so I've been at 2 or 3 depending on how you count it. I had a great time, and I guess we'll get into all that. But what's great for me, I think, is the only person on the screen that I interacted with there was Andrew. So we're continuing to make connections and make friends, and that's why I joined this.
Awesome. And I think that's a great segue into what AWS reInvent is about, because obviously it's about the tech, but it's also, I think, about the community, even in a greater way. And even just how you said you met Andrew personally at reInvent, but then there's also new people that you're connecting with and sort of in and around the AWS reInvent space. So I'd love to kind of just open up the conversation. And Matt, even if you wanted to kind of, kick it off just on that, but sort of what that was like to meet people in person. Lou, I'm really curious about, how you and I and a lot of us as community builders in AWS, and Andrew as well, we sort of have been virtually networking with each other for the past year, but haven't really maybe met in person, but we sort of know each other in Slack or on Twitter. So just sort of what it's like to virtually network, as well as in-person networking, because I kind of have forgotten about what it's like to meet people in person with like everything being so remote for the past couple of years. But Matt, I mean, do you want to kind of just jump right off and talk about that sort of experience?
Yeah, well, for me, I mean, the experience was not what I expected when I first made plans to go to reInvent, because it was I don't know when this idea came about, but it seems like it was just a couple of months back. So I'd already made my plans and everything. And Jason Dunn, who's the I guess the community manager for the AWS builders, said that he was putting together this dev lounge thing. And so there were different groups that would have a whole hour to have a conversation or have a presentation or whatever we wanted to do at reInvent in the developer lounge, which was set up in the expo. And I was a little bit greedy. I signed up for 3 groups. And so I was part of 3 different events going on there, which is really where I spent a lot of my time, and it was a great experience. So we met virtually to plan what we were going to do for the hour, and then we try to generate some enthusiasm, get some people to come, and then we had great interactions with people that came by to see what we had to say.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think it's sort of, we were all sort of creating these different groups. Andrew, I'm actually really grateful that you're on this live, because you created sort of this master group for a lot of us as community builders, which was awesome. And to be honest, like, I don't know like where we would have gotten all of like the insider info of where stuff was happening at reInvent. So thank you for that. Andrew, do you want to sort of also talk about your experience with meeting people virtually and in person?
I mean, it's really interesting because sometimes you meet people and they're one-to-one on when you meet them. So like one person I met was Bart Castle, and he is just like picture perfect from the time you met them. Other people, you meet them and it's like a new layer, a different type of person. You really appreciate that person in a different way. So I mean, I think that if all you have is virtual, that is okay, and there's a lot you can do there. But if you can be in person, that is definitely a value add, and vice versa, right? So I just think that whatever you're most comfortable with, you can utilize. But you don't have to be in person. You could still do a lot of stuff virtually. It's just what your personal preference is and where you feel safe and comfortable engaging.
I love that. That's awesome. And Sully, Taruna, and I, we were AWS All Builders Welcome grant recipients. So I'd love to hear from you both what you thought of the program. I had like an amazing time, and I feel like our whole cohort, just like we got to meet each other, and that was super exciting. But yeah, Sully, do you want to sort of kick off what that was like for you?
So, I mean, aside from being super grateful that I got the grant, I was feeling nervous, to be honest, to actually be part of the event, because one, I haven't attended the conference. I had no expectation. I didn't know like what to expect. Second, I didn't know anyone at all. I was trying to build my community. I was like trying to network who else was going, because I was traveling solo by myself. And I was a little like nervous. I think all of us being in COVID and not having a live conference for a while is kind of like, it could be a little bit intimidating and overwhelming, but I think that the community that we built and like meeting you, Brian, meeting Taruna, and now all of you guys definitely helped. And I feel like, I mean, I'm just grateful that I actually attended and not allowed the fear to kind of hold me back from this experience. And it redirected like the focus and motivation to continue like obviously building the community, but also becoming a stronger developer overall. So yeah, I encourage everyone to apply for the grant, and you will not regret it at all.
I love that. That's so awesome. Taruna, how did you feel? Similar in terms of overall experience?
Yeah, I completely agree with Sully. I feel like when I first started, like the first day I came in, I'm like, there's so many people here. But I felt like as the event continued to roll on and I started meeting like faces that I recognize, just simply saying hello, and learning a little bit about everyone's background. I definitely agree with Sully. I also came back more motivated than ever. I am going through finals exams right now, but I feel like coming back from reInvent, Usually I will like look at TikTok or look at YouTube while I'm like trying to relax from studying, but instead I'm like on websites like trying to see how could I better my skills. Like that's relaxation for me right now, and that just goes to show how like reinvent can reinvent a person basically. And I'm super excited. I do believe that there were so many opportunities and so many people to network with, and I do think that reinvent opened so many doors for me, and I'm pretty sure it did the same for everyone. And yeah, like all the connections, it's insane. It's definitely an event you'd want to be, so definitely apply for the grant. It's totally worth it.
100%. Yeah, programs like that, especially grants. I know that was sort of created under the diversity, inclusion, accessibility team at AWS. I think I said that right, hopefully. But a lot of what they try to do is bring all developers, no matter where you are in the world, to events like reInvent, because it's just amazing to build sort of this global community around you. And even just kicking it over to Lou, I know we were sort of attending reInvent virtually last year. I think that was when we probably our paths crossed at some point, at least in the Slack channel. So I was kind of curious from virtual, because I know we do quite a lot of virtual networking as well. There's a lot of ways where you can watch keynotes, virtually. You can watch, trainings. They have a lot of the workshops and the a lot of those trainings virtually as well, studying for certification. So I was kind of curious from your perspective too of what that's been like, virtually engaging with the AWS community globally.
Yeah, for sure. So I've not actually ever been to an in-person reInvent, so I have nothing to compare it to, which is an interesting one. I spend a lot of my time, to be honest, on social media. Generally speaking as well, when new AWS announcements come out anyway, I spend a lot of time on Twitter. I don't know whether other people utilize the search function a lot, but like whenever an announcement comes out, I'm always on Twitter and I go into the search and I kind of check the latest stuff and like the trending stuff and things like that. What I tend to find is you get some really interesting stuff there, because obviously you have AWS's take, but like that's AWS, right? They're always going to talk in a certain way about their own services. So it's always really nice for me to go and see different perspectives on it, really. So, and you tend to get that kind of stuff on Twitter. People sort of kind of reading into stuff like, what does this mean? Why are AWS entering in this space? Like, where are they going to go with this service? Because all of this stuff is interesting, and they will launch certain services, I think, to experiment in a certain space. And we've seen a lot of those come out this year as well, where they're clearly trialing something. Some of these services don't take off, or they kind of just sit there for a while. But it's really fun to kind of speculate about where they're going with that. Will they integrate it with other stuff, and kind of what that means in terms of the industry as a whole? So that's, to be honest, has been the majority of the kind of way that I've integrated is through social media and stuff, which I would massively recommend. I think around the reInvent time is great as well, because everyone is on social media. They're on it all throughout the year, but like people are particularly active during reInvent. And I think last year during reInvent, I met so many people just online kind of through that during the actual time of reInvent. So I think there's something to be said about hopping on when stuff is actually happening live and kind of joining the sort of reactions and things like that. Sort of sharing opinions and things. But yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I sort of think that a lot of what AWS has tried to do since the pandemic has been happening is to bring sort of tech to the people and sort of create opportunities where you can engage with content. I know a lot of the workshops are now sort of virtualized, so you can run stuff from your own AWS account, and you can sort of run a lot of the things. I know, I think with GitPod, but like Code Sandbox, like they're sort of trying to create these virtualized environments, or Replit is another one that I use, but sort of creating these ways in which you can have a virtual coding environment and be more accessible. Okay, this is awesome. I love where this conversation is going. Also, the whole vibe of being able to reinvent yourself or redevelop yourself into the developer you want to be. I don't know about you guys, but I am like so fired up going into this next year. I was like messaging some of my work Discords, and I was like, you guys, like, I am ready to build. Like, I'm so excited to go and do something big. Like, it's being able to see a lot of the solution architectures from experts was like very empowering and exciting, because I found personally, and I don't know if you all feel the same, but sort of feel like there's all these architectures that you can make, but I didn't really know like what that actually looks like. It's kind of like you don't know what a 5-course meal looks like until you actually get shown what it actually looks like. But then being able to see how DynamoDB streams can connect with Lambda to something like Neptune, and then that's how you create a graph database. You build the AI model that could connect to SageMaker, then that could get pushed to the front end. So seeing a lot of how these puzzle pieces fit together, these Lego blocks build things, I definitely feel sort of reinvented and definitely invigorated to be able to then go and build things. So I'm just really excited. So That's awesome. Okay, cool. Something that I wanted to talk to you all about was just what was like the favorite or most exciting takeaway from reInvent from you guys. I feel like there were product announcements, there were features that were launched, frameworks for building, even just updates to like Amplify and SageMaker, just different tools. But I was kind of curious if we wanted to sort of go around the way again. I'll maybe start with Andrew this time and then go back, but just sort of what was your favorite highlight from the past week?
So for me, like my focus at reInvent was to do community building. So looking at sustainability, DEI stuff, accessibility. And I had a really good time with Robert. So Robert, he's a AWS data hero and he's deaf. And so just understanding like how do we make that stuff more accessible from a technical standpoint and also from a community standpoint. That for me was like the highlight for me at the conference, to be able to interact with him in person and some other deaf employees. But there was a lot of other interesting things. My personal favorites are always the AWS community or AWS Builders Fair. So where you get to see a bunch of different isolate projects. And it's really great to interact with people one-on-one and see the architecture and talk through that stuff. And, you know, personally for me, one thing that I really liked that AWS did different this year was they added an AWS Hero Lounge. Now, there was some confusion over what that was, but it was a place where you could meet heroes. But people, I think, thought it was just for heroes. So they just like thought we were all lounging in there. So I think the next year, the marketing will be better. Oh, and one more thing. I got too many favorites, but one thing that was my favorite thing was the shuffleboard. So, you know, my hometown, we have a lot of those, and I hadn't seen one in a long time. And so I was so excited, and it really made it more personal, like I was at home when I was at reInvent. And I was in the developer lounge.
Okay, that was very cool. I didn't know that they had shuffleboards. Now I'm feeling a little jealous of some FOMO right now.
Just one shuffleboard, but it was that's all you need is one.
That's all you need. That's an important takeaway from today. All you need is one shuffleboard. That's awesome, Andrew. Thanks so much for all that. That's great. Yeah, Lou, I mean, was there sort of a key takeaway that you got from the past week, or maybe something that you're excited about?
Yeah, for sure. I'm kind of curious now whether shuffleboard is a Canadian thing. That's not my favorite announcement. Is it?
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah. This is the one with the stones, right? It's kind of like curling.
Yeah, it's like curling. So curling is a Canadian
now.
sport, but it's the one you do in the bar. It's great.
Okay, was it the big one or the small one?
The shuffleboard?
Yeah.
Usually we call it Italian shuffleboard, but sometimes that confuses people, so I just say shuffleboard. Shuffleboard's like on the floor, like you do on the deck of a boat.
Yeah.
An Italian shuffleboard is just a miniaturized version in a bar. So
yes. Okay. Yeah. I've done both, but yeah. Anyway, sorry, Brian. I'm totally going off piece.
No, this is great. This is great content also for people that want to get into shuffleboarding. This is great.
Or curling.
100%.
Or curling, or both.
Or bowling, like anything where I like any sports where you can hold a drink, and then the other one you just do that, you know. So maybe you could do that pool kind of. I don't know.
Ooh, yes, pool. There's a lot of those like verticalized gaming.
Yeah, for sure. Service-wise, I mean, I've kind of seen a bunch of interesting stuff. I'm curious about this repost stuff that they've been doing. It's kind of interesting. So I suppose for people not aware, it's kind of like a Stack Overflow-ish thing. I had a poke around in the AWS interface just now, and I couldn't actually find it. I'm not sure maybe if it's just in one region or something. I always find that those services are a little bit hard to find because they're kind of buried inside of AWS itself. But I'm kind of curious to see how that one pans out, because obviously anyone who's gone into AWS knows that it's like very hard to find answers to these types of questions and stuff. I don't know whether this is the sort of silver bullet that's going to bring about like some huge change in being able to figure stuff out within AWS. I'm a little bit surprised that it's taken them so long to implement something like this, like community-based support. I imagine the burden on them is like massive in terms of support requests and things like that. So I'm kind of curious to see how that one goes and how that actually works in practice as well. Hey, Diamond.
Awesome. Hey, Diamond. Just adding you to the chat now. Hey. Yeah, Lou, thank you so much for all that. That was super awesome. We were just kind of talking about our big takeaways, or sort of our favorite highlight from the past week. But Diamond, do you want to just introduce yourself to the group and then maybe give your top highlight from the past week?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Diamond, and I'm a community builder in the containers track. I'm also a DevOps and site reliability engineer consulting at IBM. And my highlight of the week was honestly meeting the other community builders and grant recipients. I think without that community, my week would not have been as great. And to also meet just other people who are kind of new to the tech space, cloud space, and we're all excited. So that was kind of my highlight of the week.
Oh, that's awesome. And I feel like that's just a recurring theme of like community and meeting new people and being exposed to new insights and learning. So that's sort of awesome that from all of our experiences so far, that's definitely true. Sully, do you want to kind of also give your key takeaway or key highlight from the past week?
Yeah, so same as Diamond, I think the community, like the connection that we made through the conference was like my main highlight. But then I will add also like machine learning. That's not like my direct background, but being exposed to learning and knowing like how to start that journey to learn machine learning, that was also, for me, it was also I think Amazon definitely provide all these services that made it easy to start no matter what level you are. So I think that machine learning also like kind of had this concept of like being too hard, but it doesn't have to be. So that's for me like one of my main highlights from the experience.
That's awesome. Thanks so much, Sully. Taruna, do you want to give your key highlight?
Sure. I think one of my favorite things about reInvent was just hearing how much cloud technology has transformed over the years. I remember attending a keynote where they talked about what was possible in 2005 compared to where we are today, and it just goes to show that cloud is continuing to grow and the opportunities are continuing to grow. And I feel, especially as a student and someone looking to get my career started in cloud computing, I do think after attending reInvent and listening to all the keynotes, all the lectures about where cloud is going and how it can impact businesses, I do I walked away from it realizing that it's just going to expand and continuing to grow from there. I remember sitting at the first keynote where they were talking about where different companies were talking about their platform on AWS and how AWS has helped them to transform. And one of them was United Airlines, where they talked about how they had to deal with the pandemic and how AWS has helped to make their platform a lot better. One of the things that I also remember was how women in technology, how United Airlines especially, how they've helped to integrate women into the tech field. And I'm really surprised when I heard that 50% of their staff were women. And I do feel like that was empowering to hear. Also, with the All Builders Welcome community, they were going over the numbers about how many executives are colored, and they were going over the gap of like women, people of color, and it just goes to show that AWS is tackling that. And I do believe that I contribute to that personally, which makes me even more passionate about the field. And I walked away again super excited and motivated.
That's awesome. And I definitely want to reiterate that like we were sort of all feeling so empowered being in the All Builders Welcome program. Diamond, we were also a part of that as well. So it just sort of makes you think of like what your community would be like without a community, right? Like you are empowered by the people that you are around, and sort of that whole thing of you're sort of the composite of the 5 people that you surround yourself with. But definitely it can be way more than 5. And I think sort of just building sort of that global ecosystem around you is very important as a developer or anyone that's building something, especially new, and focusing on empowerment. So Taruna, that's awesome. Matt, do you want to sort of close out with your top highlight from the past week or something that you're excited about?
All of that. I'm afraid I don't have anything quite so eloquent or empowering to say. But I mean, Dev Lounge, I already mentioned that. That was definitely my personal highlight. On the technology front, I really like to see the CDK ascendant. I've been using the CDK for a couple of years. I was really entranced by the idea of developers being able to provision infrastructure with code. And of course, YAML's code too, but with the code languages that they're comfortable with. I just don't want to be too controversial here. I've loved that idea, and to see it actually go somewhere and become an important part of Dr. Vogel's keynote was a really big deal to me. So yeah, I love to see that.
That's awesome. Thanks, Matt. Yeah, thanks everyone. This is like so cool that we all have very like varied and similar experiences, all united around reInvent and AWS and cloud. Something that I wanted to sort of take the conversation to was maybe just a specific keynote or a session that maybe we attended, whether it's in person or virtually. Something that I personally was very, very interested in terms of the keynotes was CEO Adam Selipsky's view on what the sort of modern data strategy looks like. And actually did this, I sort of built it out into my YouTube because I was like really into it, because people always ask like, what does like data strategy look like? How do you manage your data? But sort of thinking of there's sort of 4 core components. So that's database, data lake, analytics, machine learning, AI. But then you sort of have this overarching sort of wrapping layer, which is data governance. So it's helping you understand and manage the data that you have and how you're utilizing it. And I think that's really interesting because I've seen a lot of like white papers and it gets very, very technical, which makes a lot of sense. But sort of if you just wanted to have a data strategy, like what would that actually look like? So there's sort of those 4 components, and you can make it as complex or as simple as you want it to be. But those are sort of the core pillars. And I sort of felt like I walked away from AWS thinking of you can have something very complex, but there sort of are those fundamental pillars that will build any sort of solution architecture. And it doesn't have to seem very abstract if you sort of dive into it. You can make it as very complex as you want to. But I really like that. But I say, yeah, that was sort of the keynote that I really enjoyed. And then I was really into this talk. I don't know if it'll be posted on YouTube at some point soon, but David Yanisek, he's a pretty high up developer at Amazon. And he sort of had these fundamental frameworks for how to think of DevOps or working on developer teams. And he had 5 stories, so I won't share all of them. But specifically, there was something that was really cool where he talked about having ops wins emails. So like someone improved a feature or someone built something, whether it's big or small, but sharing that win with the broader team. What was really interesting was sort of as a framework, he sort of thinks about workplace culture as a muscle that you want to flex. And it was very interesting because his whole analysis of it was you might send one email that sends a ripple effect. Someone might want to build on top of that tool internally or open source externally. Then someone might be inspired to then build something completely differently, but they saw that email of someone killing it or crushing it, however big or small it was. So I was just sort of thinking about how there isn't sort of, it has to be some big feature release or some small feature upgrade, or it doesn't have to be anything specific, but how ripple effects can really take place, whether it's just that one tweet, that one email can really make a difference in your workplace culture. So that was just my little bit on like the keynote and the workshop. But I'm gonna go complete opposite direction around. Matt, do you want to sort of maybe talk about your favorite keynote or session?
I like what you just said. I've been in this business for more than 20 years now, and that's definitely always been an area for improvement where people can just share their small wins or what they did or something like that. Here we're sort of building community outside of our workplaces. Building it inside your workplace is maybe even more important, just because those are the people that you deal with all the time, and it can be really important for their well-being and things like that. In terms of the sessions that I went to that I really liked, I went to the Friday morning Rick Houlihan talking about DynamoDB. He's such a good speaker. I've been consuming so much Rick Houlihan content that I don't know if there was anything new in that talk, but I just like to hear him speak. So I really enjoyed that. It's a good way to kind of come down after the week.
That's awesome. Yeah, his sessions are always really great, his talks. That's awesome, Matt. Taruna, do you want to maybe share, I'm just going in reverse order, so do you want to maybe share your favorite session or keynote?
I would say one of my favorite sessions, again, sticking to the theme of women empowerment and people of color being empowered. Through the All Builders Welcome Grant, there was a talk. She was the author of the book STEM Gems, which it's a book about how young girls, they need role models and how having a role model can change their outlook in a lot of things, especially venturing into the field of tech. So I definitely do feel like I do find motivation from helping others. And I felt like STEM Gems is a good way to do so. Like especially if you have young girls in your family that you feel you can help to change their lives and their outlook on basically what the job pool has to offer. So that was definitely one of my favorite things attending reInvent, is being aware of all the opportunities that I can give back.
That's awesome, Taruna. And just being like upfront and personal with people that could be like mentors or role models and stuff. I think that's hands down so not underrated. It's so like so helpful, right? Like we don't necessarily think about like how much a person could have an impact on your life, but being able to be exposed to those people, especially at a conference, is like so important. So that's awesome. Sully, do you want to give your favorite session or key highlight?
Yeah, it was two. It was also like the one that Taruna mentioned about women in STEM. I think it's very important to attend these type of events, especially as a woman of color. It was definitely encouraging because we want to see more of us in this space. And then the second was the workshop on machine learning, just because you get to do hands-on learning. And so that was one of my favorites. And not being so daunted and scared about like starting my journey in machine learning. So yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, machine learning and AI is like really, really taking off now. So they're investing a lot of time and resources, I'm sure, into that. Diamond, do you want to also continue with your favorite, keynote or favorite session that you attended?
So I attended a ton of workshops, probably too many, but one of my favorites was it was a workshop where you test the resiliency of your application, which kind of relates to my job a little bit, where it's basically in the workshop we were injecting failure into the application. So we kind of used EC2 SQL database, and then we used like load balancers, and we were basically attacking our application to make sure that it was resilient to the point where it doesn't matter what you threw at it, it would still work and it still would come up. And if something did kind of trick it a little bit or whatever, it would roll back up and keep on running. So I really liked that lab. I don't remember the exact name or the exact session, but that was one of my favorite ones because I was like, that's cool. I feel like a hacker.
That's awesome. And it's sort of like you think of like the movies and it's like, oh, I'm doing that now. That's kind of cool. Well, sometimes a lot of coding is like looking up Stack Overflow, which is less glamorized and less fun. So that's kind of cool to get that upfront experience of like really cool coding. So Diamond, that's awesome. Lou, do you want to give your favorite keynote or announcement or session?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, to be fair, I actually didn't attend any of them live, so everything that it's like async. I've been attending the conf async through blog posts and stuff. No, I mean, not necessarily a session, but I suppose another thing that kind of caught my eye as well is there was another edition of this sort of control tower thing for Terraform, which I dug under the hood, and there's not necessarily a great deal of investment necessarily specifically that's gone into that just yet, but it's part of this sort of broader movement that you kind of seen of AWS kind of embracing some open source infrastructure as code stuff, some Terraform stuff, which is very cool. The stuff that Matt sort of said about the CDK, I haven't actually fully read. I thought the CDK was kind of GA, etc. So I'm not entirely sure necessarily what they announced about the CDK there, but yeah, there's a bunch of different
2.0 version. Yeah. The 2.0 version, which solves some of the problems that were in it.
So is that new features or new features or just?
It manages dependencies differently. And there are a couple of other improvements in it. It just sort of solves one of the biggest sort of barriers to entry for it. So it was that. It was the part in Dr. Vogel's keynote, and then of course the CDK book just came out too.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's very cool. Yeah, so basically there's just a whole bunch of different options, which I guess if you're a beginner is more overwhelming, but I suppose for companies as well, it's kind of nice to have different options, different choices. I haven't dug into the CDK too much. I kind of find it's potentially slightly controversial, I suppose, being a programming language. I mean, maybe we could talk about that. More than happy to. But yeah, I'm just kind of nice to see the Terraform stuff there as well. Different options for infra as code. It's quite cool.
Awesome. And Lou, I know you've been posting a lot about infrastructure and infra as code, so that's definitely cool to hear that as well. And Andrew, just kind of kicking this off, your last up. Do you want to give your favorite, keynote or
okay,
session?
So just hear me out for a second. I had a plan to go to the keynotes, and I was going to go to sessions, and I didn't do any of that. Okay, so this is the problem. I just get too involved in the community building, and I get sidetracked. So like for sessions that I was planning to go to, I booked all sustainability sessions, like for those things, and then the time in between, I wanted to spend my time in the DEI lounge, and that's actually not what it's called. So Brian, you said earlier with like DEI, for some reason AWS has changed the order of those. But as long as we have all those 3 words there, I think we're okay. So, I wanted to spend my time there. But, it's okay. A lot of these things are recorded, so you can catch up later on. That's what I hope to do. For the keynotes, I was planning on going in person. Never experienced that before. It seemed like it'd be a great, amazing experience. But, I just got caught up with, I was with, again, Robert. I was having deep conversations about accessibility tech, like up till 2 a.m. in the morning. Then the next night, I was like, Matt Coulter had just flown in. He took stage with for the CTO's keynote. And so it was just like, you just have to be, get them pumped up and hear about what that experience is going to be. So it was really interesting for me. But, I think a lot of people when they first come, and I've done Reinforce, I've done summits, but you come and I feel like it's a different experience every time, because the first time you come, it's all sessions and you go away learning a lot of stuff, great things. And the next time you go, okay, now I know technology. Now maybe, it'll be more like, how do I network? How do I build my network and things like that? And then the third time it's like, okay, now how do I give back to my community and stuff? So I think that every time you come back, it's going to be a different experience. And so, it's just interesting to hear everyone on the panel having a different experience and going through those different levels.
Yeah, 100%. Andrew, and I know you're really big on community and building sort of the community around AWS. So I know you're a very cherished and treasured member of the community.
So, well, here's the thing is and I feel more like a builder than a hero. This is and by the way, I tell this to Ross, who runs Heroes, but I like my builder swag than I like my hero swag. And so I'm always like, what do I got to do for builders? I got to get back to builders but I think the builder community is really great. And there's different dynamics between the 2 programs, but if you aren't in the program, it's really welcoming and it's great for networking. I want to see more builders.
Yeah, 100%. And Lou, I know we've talked about this a bunch. Diamond, when we actually found out that we were builders, as well as all builders welcome grant recipients, it's just very cool to see where we all pop up and sort of how we can all support each other even after the conference. Because Sully, Taruna, I know we were also talking about this as well, of the conference ended, but we're going to continue to support each other, especially being really young in your career. I'm still trying to figure out exactly where I want to build onto. So I know we were talking about full stack development. That's sort of where I'm sort of focusing more of my career in terms of where I want to go, but sort of having people that can inspire you or motivate you, or maybe be studying for certifications alongside you, that can sort of be very empowering as well. So yeah, I love this. This is really important. Talk about community. And yeah, also shout out, 100%. It's the AWS Inclusion, Diversity, and Equity team.
Okay.
Unless they have a different name, but that's at least what's on.
Are we happy with the name? It's just, it's good. It's just, I got to reprogram with the new initialism. So, but.
Yeah, because I think, there's a lot of words that kind of comes up in terms of diversity, inclusion, and equity. But I sort of feel a lot of what I saw, at least at reInvent, was allyship and sort of bringing along people that you don't have to, be in a certain position, or you don't need to have some sort of title to be a builder. Andrew, just be a community builder. Anyone can be a builder. Anyone can empower people. Taruna, you were just talking really, really great points earlier on the call, just in terms of how people can motivate people to get into STEM, or people that can help empower and lift up women into tech, and sort of make sure. And so you were also talking about this too, of how there can be more diversity, and you sort of need people to bring everyone together and lift people up. So I really like how AWS, does that and continues to do that. And I also feel from us, at our companies or in our groups or communities or wherever we are, we can always empower and bring more people into the fold. So I just think, definitely, Andrew, to your point, diversity, inclusion, and equity is super important.
Yeah, and I was actually writing a chat, but I was just saying, when you went to registration, you had the opportunity to get an ally badge, and I missed mine, and because I started seeing them oh, there's ally badges, and I just wondered, if you see those, does it impact you in a way, saying, okay, these people are inclusive, it is helping. But I think next time I will definitely try to make sure to remember to do that. And I think it'd be great, if we made a list of saying, okay, what are the things that we need to know when we walk into this next time. But yeah, all the pieces were there. I just wish I could have taken advantage of everything. But I think that's just us networking, connecting, and finding how to do better, right?
Oh, 100%.
I didn't even know about that badge. They need to make that more visible next time.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know either.
Oh,
I just saw it because like a lot of heroes had it, right? But like they didn't say anything. But I mean, yeah, exactly, right. So there are great things there, and so that's why I wanted to just talk about them out loud so we can again connect the dots.
It was Andrew, you're talking about the allied pin, right? Like the pin
Yes.
for the lanyard.
Yes.
Oh, okay, they had it. I don't think they advertised it as much as I wish that they had. It was at the swag desk. Like it was like in this bowl, but I noticed it on like the second day. I don't think it was there the first day.
Yeah. That's something we can, maybe put a little pressure on or something like that. Like, why isn't that something that I can select when I'm signing up or something like?
Yeah, I mean, Reddit registration.
Put it on my badge. Why do I have to go and find a pin somewhere?
I thought maybe maybe people chose their pronouns or something, and then that's how they might have like that's they might have gave them there. Like for me, I just don't. I just stay away from pronouns completely just because I like neutral language. But I wanted to know because you want to be there to be supportive and stuff. I can say I think at least for my experience Reinforce. I mean, Toronto is always really, really diverse, so we don't have too much trouble there. But like compared to Reinforce to reInvent, there's definitely an uptick in terms of the improvement on AWS's part. But I still, you always say there's a long way to go. And as we highlighted, there are things that we can do. And as builders, or heroes, and anybody, we just talk about it out loud and I look for change.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's having that conversation with builders and other people that are, at the top, maybe early in their career and they're just starting out, anywhere in between. It's just really important to be having these conversations because, again, like creating that culture of inclusion. Just going back to David Yanisek's the talk that was on the DevOps and how to just sort of create sort of great teams, and that was sort of the overall keynote. But he talked about workplace culture as a muscle, but culture is a muscle that you have to flex and you have to strengthen it over time. So what are the best practices that you can bring in to make a place more inclusive? What are the things that you can do to make a team more motivated or empowered? You have to be working on this type of stuff. So definitely diversity is especially in tech, because we were kind of talking about this earlier this week, is not where it needs to be, but we can do work today that will help to make it even easier for people in the future and bring in more people into the fold. So definitely about that. And I think, we sort of are being a part of that. So that's really great. Something that I was also just really interested in, because I'm definitely feeling really motivated and really inspired from this past week. There's just so much stuff to build. There were like hundreds of different workshops that people could attend. Andrew, kind of similarly, I wish that I had have gone to everything that I signed up for. Diamond, Sully, Taruna, I know that I had talked to you guys about this. Going to reInvent, I was so I'm going to be going to 5 events every hour. I even was signing up for stuff that was overlapping, not realizing that I was signed up for something at Caesar's Forum, and then the Venetian, and then the Win Encore. And you guys, there's no way to go to something like that. It took me 20 minutes to just get from one hotel to the next, and then 5 minutes of walking, and then I'm already out of breath getting to the session. So I was super I got a lot of walking in. But definitely I'd love to hear from you guys what was your favorite building workshop, or your favorite thing that you're I'm gonna go out and build it. I'd say for me, just to kind of kick it off, I feel it was the graph database, because I really want to know how to do that sort of Twitter providing recommendations, and then sort of you follow a bunch of tech people, so now you get to see tech content. And it was very interesting how you can kind of set up that flow from NoSQL database, pipe that through Lambda into Graph, and then you're able to then call that back to the front end if you build some sort of data model around it. For anyone that's similarly trying to build stuff, they always talked about how you build the data model, then you get feedback, and then that should be informing what you build, because you might not necessarily have all the ideas when you start, but have user-generated feedback to tell you what you want. But definitely the graph database and the prediction stuff was cool. Also building it was this AI-powered image recognition software. So it was able to basically pre-process an image and then tell you if the person has sunglasses, in which case reject that, or if the face was obscured and turned away, it would reject it because it's not clear. And that was crazy cool, because I was doing some stuff on the Tech Stack Playbook on step functions with Tom, who's also an AWS community builder. And it was very cool to be whoa, this is taking step functions and blowing it all up into like something that's very, very like multi-hierarchical and very like intense. So it was very cool to see how you can make something very complex or very simple. But that was kind of like what I thought was very interesting. Just going back in the complete direction again, Andrew, do you want to sort of kick off, maybe not necessarily like a training or a workshop, but something that you're excited about? And I see you're holding up something that looks cool.
So this is a, what do they call it? M5 stack. It's 2-core. It's an IoT device. So IoT is something like I've always been kind of interested in because I kind of find it ties to sustainability or something, or my vision is I really want to build a pinball machine 100% like powered by IoT devices. That to me would be the funnest thing to do. But I was lucky to get one of these. So if you were going to the IoT sessions, you got one of those. But what sparked my interest is that when I was in the Builders Fair, I saw a project for signing. So like you could do like letters and things like that, and it would do detection. And so I had ran into an IoT hero. And I was just saying, I saw that project, and they were saying, well, you probably want to use a video. There's all like different kinds of sensors and things. And so got me involved in like more in IoT. And so I'm hoping it's always really hard because like you got to pay for these things and have them all the pieces to do there. So this is like one step to maybe making like an IoT course that I'm excited about. Now, what I want to build, I don't know. Like that pinball machine is probably too expensive, so I'll have to keep my expectations really small. But that's something I'm really excited about doing.
That's very cool. Yeah, IoT, it was interesting during when they did the whole Midnight Madness where they were talking about doing a lot more in robotics. I feel like that's kind of where like software meets hardware. They're sort of trying to do way more into that connection point. So that's cool. And I'm also very jealous that you got a cool IoT thing. I wish I went to that one.
Well, so again, those are those things where it's like, you wish you knew. And so that's where you want to kind of have that community to tell you. And so, I mean, my bad part, I should have went and told the builders about it because we could have made that more accessible there. But, again, connecting those dots is hard. Some people get walk away with some other stuff and everyone, it's all different, right?
Yeah, definitely. Diamond, I know we went to a session and we got like really cool cookies. So definitely a lot of cool stuff getting thrown around at different workshops, different sessions.
Like the Squid Game like candies, or I haven't seen Squid Games, but there was always they always look like cookies to me. So I was just wondering.
No, like they were like milk bar cookies. It was for the quick site workshop, but yeah, no, good. They're passing good stuff. Lou, do you want to sort of give your kind of takeaway, at least something that you're interested in building or something that you're excited about building in the new year?
Yeah, for sure. So there was even a couple more announcements as well in Cloudwatch. So Cloudwatch has grown a lot over the last couple of years. New features coming out in there as well. So they had this announcement called Evidently. Is that how they're pronouncing it? I'm not quite sure. It's kind of a slightly odd name, but basically for like sort of A/B testing, canary testing, that kind of thing. And I'm kind of quite curious about that as well. That enables a whole bunch of cool stuff. I think, yeah, like Cloudwatch has grown over time, and it's really nice to have that sort of monitoring tool within AWS that you don't have to build something outside of that. It's definitely a bit of pain for people when they're learning, especially, in a lot of corporate environments, we have like sort of these APMs that you buy, these sort of vendor ones, but it's nice to have stuff that's built into AWS that you can kind of use as your sort of first option before potentially reaching for some of these other sort of standalone SaaS stuff or whatever. So that was quite cool. And alongside that as well, they added some sort of real user monitoring stuff, which I think, was it last year they announced the sort of the synthetics thing? Maybe it was the year before, I'm not quite sure. But that's also quite cool as well. So you can do sort of just testing of sort of your critical paths across your application and things, which is just also super nice. Anything that's kind of like monitoring and sort of logging and observability related, I'm always like super curious about. And yeah, it's just nice to have some more out of the box options that are just there. And you don't need to set anything extra up, which is cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, Lou, you're like always plugged in on the cloud stuff. So that's super cool. Diamond, do you want to give sort of your what you're excited to build in the new year?
As far as what I'm excited to build, I don't know yet, but I will say I was kind of stuck in the Amazon Expo, kind of like the builders area for like a good 3 hours, just looking at the different teams that kind of came together and built stuff that I thought was cool. Like for one, it was built on machine learning using Amazon Lookout, where they kind of set up like this factory kind of, I don't know what it's called, conveyor belt thing, where they had like little Legos and they were putting it on a conveyor belt, and there was like an image that I was taking a picture of, and based on that image, they were kind of, pushing things to the left or the right based on if there was an anomaly or if it was up to production standards, which I thought was really cool. I recorded a whole 5-minute video of them presenting that specific project because I thought it was so cool. But I kind of want to look into like how that works. So I guess that's something I could try to build because I thought it was cool and I'd never seen it before. So yeah.
That is very cool. Yeah, that's awesome. And let us know if you end up building that or building on top of that. Sully, do you want to give your big what you want to build in the new year? Oh, Sully, did we lose you?
Maybe a connection
I
problem.
think maybe the audio is out there.
Was it
Oh,
here?
sorry.
I can hear you now. Was it me?
Oh, there we go. Okay, it
Right.
might have been me. No, we were just
I
asking.
couldn't hear if it was me or Matt.
Oh no, all good. I just wanted to ask what your sort of big what you want to build in the new year was, or if you had an idea of a project that you want to, or a feature you want to be building.
Yeah, so I'm still drafting that, but I kind of want to build something that incorporates like fashion and machine learning, and something that is like customizing based on like the user. So something within that will be like kind of knows or understand like the users, and then it's obviously becoming more knowledgeable. So I'm still obviously still drafting that idea.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think there's like a buffet of things to explore and build. So I feel like I'm going to be interested to see like 6 months from now, like if my thoughts of what I wanted to build change or like stays the same. So definitely will be very cool. Taruna, do you want to give us sort of what you want to build in the new year?
I definitely don't think I have anything that I want to build as yet. I definitely do want to build on like my knowledge and like just my understanding of like what AWS has to offer, and maybe from there I can find something that I could use or something that I'm motivated about that I want to take a little bit further and actually get my hands dirty and build something from there. But definitely right now I'm just going to work on certifications and trying to explore different platforms and seeing what's out there.
Yeah, definitely. That's awesome. And Matt, do you want to sort of close out with your what you want to be building in the new year?
Sure thing. So the thing that I'm most excited, most passionate about building is ways for teams to ship faster and safer. So I'm really interested in all the Cloudwatch stuff that Lou was talking about. But what I most want to build is a really good way to write tests for cloud services for the things that are much more complex or much more distributed than applications were 10 years ago. How do we automate testing of those things and build and deploy them quickly? So that's I networked with a few people on that topic, which was really interesting. I found some more interesting blog posts and libraries. It's an emergent space, and it's going to be super cool.
That's awesome. All right,
Yeah.
cool.
I was going to jump in on that one because I'm like, oh man, this one needs like a whole bunch of meetups on it or something. I've been talking about this one as well quite a lot.
Yeah.
Because I feel like you dig into that space and there is no answer, and you feel like
There
should
hasn't
be
been
an
one yet.
answer, but there isn't.
I think we'll get it.
Maybe we will. Yeah, I find the sort of local emulation versus cloud debate like super interesting as well around the testing stuff. So that one's one to watch for the future.
Yeah, totally. All right. Well, this has been like an awesome conversation, and thank you all for being able to jump on Tech Stack Playbook and just have sort of a talk. I kind of want to do more of these like multi-people conversations. I kind of have been like inspired by the whole Twitter Spaces thing, but Restream makes it really easy to sort of do the video so it gets recorded, and then you can actually push that onto a channel like Twitch or YouTube. So yeah, it's just a lot of cool things that you can do in tech. And live streaming, if you spend many months trying to search, you'll find lots of answers. But I just would love to kind of have everyone kind of close out maybe with like, maybe a fun fact or something cool about what they're working on right now, and maybe sort of their handle or if they're on social media, just so everyone on the call can maybe reach out to any of you if they're interested in connecting. But yeah, Matt, maybe you just want to give like a quick little like fact about what you do and then sort of your handle.
So my handle's on the screen, and I didn't put it there. It was there when I signed in, which was really nice. I'm at Knowledge. Matt Morgan's not an internet-friendly name. My parents didn't know but the internet was coming when I was born. So yeah, I mean, anyway, I'm at Knowledge Coalesce. It's it's a mouthful. I have a website. If that doesn't work for you, I'm at mattmorgan.cloud. So you can find all my information there. I like building on cloud. I like the CDK. I like TypeScript, and I'd love to connect with people and and figure out this testing thing, help someone on a journey, whatever it is.
That's awesome. Yeah, Matt, awesome to have you here. Taruna, do you want to go next?
Sure. I just want to mention too that one of the things that I actually learned from reInvent was how you can use Twitter as a space to find resources. So Diamond, thank you for putting me onto that. So I actually joined Twitter today. I never realized that there's so many resources available. So you can follow me at Taruna Mangar, just my name.
That's awesome. Yeah, everyone follow Taruna. Taruna's awesome. Hopefully we can get a lot of followers. That's awesome. And welcome to Twitter too. That's
Thank
great.
you.
Awesome. Diamond, do you want to go next?
Yeah, sure. Twitter's great. Twitter's how I found the community builders program. So definitely, you'll find a lot of good things. You can follow me on Engineer Curls. It's actually on the screen now. I changed my name. That way it's easier. But yeah.
Awesome. Diamond, thanks so much for being on Tech Stack Playbook. Love having you here. Sully, do you want to go next?
Yes, you can follow Sully Martinez 7 at Twitter. I'm also on LinkedIn, and I'm going to be currently working on projects on React and also getting my certificates. So excited to connect with all of you guys.
Awesome. And we're definitely going to have to talk about React stuff because I love React. So yeah, I'll definitely have lots to talk about on the JavaScript front.
Definitely.
Sully, loved having you on Tech Stack Playbook. Thanks for being able to take time today. Lou, do you want to go next?
Yeah, sure. More than happy to. So personal stuff. Lou JB is my handle on pretty much everything, which is like Lou, which is my first name, and then JB is like the phonetics of my middle and last name, which I don't know, maybe it's not apparent to some people. But you can find me on like Dev2, Twitter, LinkedIn, and everything under that handle. And then the other side of so the Lou JB stuff is me talking like my stuff, like product management, like cloud. Some of the stuff that Matt talked about like cloud testing and stuff like that is super interesting to me as well. But then I have the other side of it, which is like the open up the cloud stuff. So I do a bunch of blogging and YouTube stuff, just trying to help people get into the cloud industry. If you've ever been down that road, you know that it's not easy. There's not a lot of resources out there, not a lot of information. It's very overwhelming. So I just share a lot of information as best I can really to kind of get people into this industry. And yeah, it kind of feels like we are just at the beginning. This stuff has been around for a while, but I think people are starting to find it now. I'm really noticing over the last couple of months, couple of years, people really gravitating to that like tagline of like cloud itself, like cloud as being a thing that people kind of go down and a career that people do, which maybe wasn't the case maybe a year or so ago. It was like it was a thing to get stuff done, but now it's becoming like a career, which is quite cool. So yeah, open up the cloud. And I spend a lot of time also hanging out on Instagram. Instagram is an interesting one. We were chatting about that before as well. It's a whole different crowd on Instagram, and also Twitter. I think, we mentioned Twitter as well. Definitely get on Twitter. There's lots of interesting conversations, and I don't know, like mute a bunch of politics keywords and stuff and just keep it like, stay in the tech space and take out all the weird poisonous stuff in Twitter, because it can be bad if you don't curate it. But curate who you follow, like mute some stuff as you need, and it can be a really, really useful tool for your career and sort of just networking and stuff as well. So
awesome. Lou, big fan of yours. Thank you so much for being able to jump on this today. And Andrew, do you want to just close us out with how people can find you, a little bit about you?
Oh, sure. So I'm Twitter, Andrew Brown. So pretty simple. There's lots that I could plug, but I'd rather say let's look at some appreciation and reflection. For me, reInvent. I didn't take as good care of my mental health as I could, and at one point I had withdrew from the conference because I was emotionally overwhelmed. But the great thing is that there was a lot of support there, and I just want to give appreciation to people like David Yanisek, or I was having a hard time last name, Yanisek, Fair Campbell, Mark Castles. They came, they supported me. They help me, get grounded and re-enter the conference. For those who've never been to reInvent, it can be extremely overwhelming. And there's a lot of opinions out there and things like that. You got to find the positive people that want to grow and make things better. And it can be a really great time. Just pace yourself, and it'll be good for everybody. And so that's pretty much what I want to leave everybody with.
That's awesome. Andrew, I'm so glad you're able to join this as well. Thank you all so much for being able to jump on the Tech Stack Playbook. I had a blast chatting with you all, and I feel like all these insights that you all shared are going to be really valuable for anyone that's thinking about attending reInvent, or maybe even giving people insight into what they should check out once content gets posted online and what they should explore more. But really value all of your time today, and thank you again just for being able to be a part of the Tech Stack Playbook.
Thank you,
This was
Brian.
fun.
Thanks for having us.
Go team. Okay, this is awesome. All right, well, I'll close out the live, but again, thank you so much, everyone, for being able to jump on this. And for anyone that's viewing this or watching, I'll include links to everyone's, at least one social media handle for everyone in the description below. So if you ever want to reach out to any of these people, they're really awesome. I'm big fans of all of them. So feel free to reach out to them. And they've all generously agreed to allow me to do that. So hopefully you don't get your DMs blown up while a bunch of people messaging you, but hopefully you get some good questions because you all have good insights. So yeah, thanks again, everyone, for tuning in, and I'll see you all next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.